Let me tell you, Patrick, high school in America when I was growing up was idyllic. It was like the 50s. It was sock hops and Converse shoes.
I don't think that ever existed except on TV.
Did for my mom. My mom went to an all-girls school, Notre Dame High School in St. Louis. It was all girls back when she went. And she's like, yeah, it was exactly like that. Except obviously no boys. So there was that part of the classic story was not there.
I see what you're doing there. We spent the entire pre-show talking about, knife fights and drug dealing in high schools and all of this, and I was horrified. And now that we're live, you're censoring the reality of the situation in America.
Listen. Americans will persevere, and they will be here. In 1,000 years, there will be America, because Americans have learned to grow up in tough, hard-ass situations, and it's like, it's hardening steel by striking against steel. Right, over time you're gonna have these ironclad.
That's the stereotype, anyway.
You're gonna have these ironclad people with no emotions like Vulcans, be able to clobber anyone by just looking at them.
Yeah, everyone here is 7 feet tall and built like a mountain man.
Right. Basically, your high school environment is preparing you for the post-apocalyptic world.
Have you seen Hunger Games? That's very similar to our high schools.
I love that you're making light of all of this, when before the show it was like, oh yeah, knife fights like every couple of days in my high school.
I didn't say every couple of days. You were spinning this tale in your head.
Just a little bit. You did say drugs being sold and knife fights.
And it did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gun-related gang violence.
In the middle of freshman geography, Benny said, hey, there's a doobie on page 138. Well, a picture of a caravan, aerial picture of a caravan.
We did. There's a lot of pot smoking in France, like a lot. It is probably
stereotypical.
I have a feeling that you lived a very sheltered existence.
I hear they're getting rid of logos on cigarette packs in France. That's a proposed rule.
That's been proposed for a long time.
It seems to be gathering steam again. Then I guess I don't know.
Yeah. I think it never lost steam. It was always in the back pocket, not back pocket, back burner of a lot of governments. But they're doing things slowly. And the last thing was that they want to they want all of the packets of cigarettes to be neutral and to have the exact same font type and all of this. So
no more blue Gauloises packs.
No, I guess not. But
right.
The most popular brand I think is Marlboro. So can we say brands of cigarettes on this show? Is it like
know. They're not giving us any money? All right, you ready?
Don't think it has to do with sponsorships. Yes, I was born ready.
If you donate $10 per month, you can say 1.4 seconds of every single episode is brought to you by you. Head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support to adopt the second I called dibs on the first 2 seconds of that beautiful theme music. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, April 5th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Patrick Beja, French podcaster, formerly living in Finland, now in Japan. Are you going to circumnavigate?
Well, that's an idea. For now, I'm just trying to stay awake because it's like 5 in the morning, and I'm still heavily jet lagged. So I apologize in advance if my words make little sense, but they usually don't make much sense. So I apologize if they make less sense than they usually do.
Listen, man, I for one am not going to judge because you are willing in the middle of jet lag to get up at 5 in the morning, which means your body doesn't have any idea what time it is anyway, and you're further confusing it on our behalf. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I wouldn't miss it for the world, Tom.
All right. Meanwhile, we've got the NFL coming to Twitter. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Let's start off with the headlines. Facebook launched automatic alternative text that uses object recognition to automatically generate text descriptions of images on Facebook that can then be used by screen readers to make the site more accessible. The object recognition is the object recognition is done by a trained neural network. So it's Facebook's machine learning. AAT, as they're calling it, automatic alternative text, is available for iOS English screen readers, and they say other platforms and languages will follow.
So weren't we discussing this about Twitter's alternative text for visually impaired people last week?
I don't think Twitter's is automatic. Twitter gives
you
the option.
That's the thing. I think when we discussed it last week, we mentioned, but it's going to be even more awesomer, which is a word, once they use all of that, yeah, it is, all of that machine learning to describe the pictures automatically. And Facebook just beat everyone else to the punch.
Yeah, some person at Facebook heard that and said, wait till they get a load of me.
Well, anyway. You know what? WhatsApp announced Tuesday that end-to-end encryption has been applied to all communications. Messages already received such encryption, but now photos, videos, files, voice messages, and group chats do too. WhatsApp uses the Signal protocol from Open Whisper Systems.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Telegram. Telegram gets a lot of press, and every time we do, we'll get at least 1 or 2 emails from people saying, Telegram's not that great, you should use Signal. And so the fact that WhatsApp uses Signal's protocol, which is open source, I think is to their credit. And the fact that WhatsApp, a Facebook company, by the way, has locked down everything now. In reaction to, maybe not, I shouldn't say in reaction to, because it makes it sound like they did it because, but in the wake of all of this debate about encryption and WhatsApp having confrontations with Brazilian authorities over not being able to hand over things. And if you don't know this already, what this means is that WhatsApp doesn't have the key to your encrypted communications, so they can't tell what you're saying. Only you can tell what you're saying or saying.
And the person you sent it to, hopefully.
Of course, yes, well. That's a good point. Otherwise, it'd be kind of useless as a messaging system.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting development because it sort of furthers the reality of this world that a lot of tech experts are describing in the context of the debate, which is, encryption is so easy to implement actually once you know how it works that there are going to be lots of apps that do implement it, and you're never, it's against that, it's a sort of arms race, and you're never going to be able to get everyone to give you the keys because anyone can create encryption software. So in reaction, since it's sort of standard practice, it's becoming standard practice, everyone's doing it. So I think people that are thinking we need to get the ability to see into those communications might slowly realize, oh well, we need to get in here too, and in here, and in and oh wait, okay, there are like 1,000 of those. Maybe that's not realistic anymore. So.
Yeah, and Jan Koum, who grew up in the USSR and is co-founder of WhatsApp, wrote about in the blog post about this, about how encryption that is weakened endangers you because he's using the argument, which we've gone over plenty of times, because the bad guys can always use encryption. So he says, look, it is important to you to be able to protect your communications from all kinds of people. And so that should outweigh things. Anyway, not saying he won the argument today, but he has an impassioned defense of it there.
Yeah, and just to finish up on this, this argument is being made all the time, but I think the fact that WhatsApp, which is used so much, is also implementing it, it's sort of one additional notch in the belt of, I don't know, tech people describing how reality is going to become, and this is becoming more reality, if that doesn't make sense.
I think it actually did.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Well, good job. Sony will release System Software 3.5 for the PlayStation 4 on Wednesday, according to a PlayStation blog post. Feature updates include the ability to appear offline, even though you're not, get notifications when your friends come online, unless they're hiding themselves, schedule gameplay sessions with friends, and, the big one, install Remote Play apps on your PC and Mac. Remote Play lets PS4 owners stream gameplay to their computers. You can choose the resolution of 360p, 540p, or 720p. That's as high as it goes. Frame rates of 30 or 60 frames per second, and you'll need to connect to a DualShock 4 controller, so you'll plug that into your PC or your Mac.
Yeah, solid update overall. Interesting features. It's the streaming to the PC is not incredible, but it sort of came about when Sony, I think, philosophically and business-wise, they abandoned the idea that they would have only streaming to their PlayStation. What was it called? TV Vita TV or
Yeah, PS
PlayStation
Vita,
TV?
PlayStation TV. Yeah.
So yeah, they're basically getting on board with what everyone else is doing.
And I now wonder if this would bring Overwatch to my Mac. I know you do it through a virtual machine on your OS X installation, but I could have Overwatch played on PlayStation 4 and then play it on an OS X laptop, no?
Well, yeah, technically you could. I don't do it on virtual machine. You're gonna be giving hope to right. It's boot camp. A virtual machine couldn't run it, and even boot camp is not. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, you could. Of course, you could stream it from your device, but it's not exactly the same version. You play it with a controller, and I'm not sure why you wouldn't just play it on your TV if you have it on a console.
Because Eileen's watching Flaked on Netflix. That's why.
Ah, well, there you go. Excellent. Perfect. Another thing that is not perfect is the fact that the HTC Vive headsets have begun shipping, which is good, but some folks who lost their place in the line because of credit card processing troubles have yet to get confirmation they're back in the right order. I would be so angry if I actually got and woke up at the right time and paid for the thing and was looking forward to getting my headset, and then some issue with the payment got me back in the line and maybe I couldn't get it when I was supposed to. That would enrage me. How?
Yeah. No, I hear you. At least they're shipping, though. I mean, they've got their own problem, but we talked about how Oculus Rift is having slower shipping than they expected. And all the reviews are out today and out from their non-disclosure agreements, and they seem generally positive. People seem to like the HTC Vive. I got to try one out the other weekend, and it was good. It looked great, felt comfortable. Forgot it was on my head, which is what you want. I was just walking along a tree. It was a Jungle Book demo. I got to get assaulted by a snake, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to mine. I was not one of the people who had a credit card processing problem, but I also still don't have an actual ship date. It just still says April, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Forgetting that it was on your head is probably the biggest prop you can give to the device, because that is a really important part of the experience.
HP introduced the 13.3-inch HP Spectre laptop with a Core i7 processor, up to 8 gigabytes of RAM, 3 USB-C ports. They all can do power or input. 2 of them double as Thunderbolt ports. They're claiming up to 9.5 hours of battery life, and this is all packed in a carbon fiber and CNC aluminum frame that is 10.3 millimeters thick. This thing is thinner than a MacBook. It doesn't weigh less, though. It weighs 2.45 pounds. You can get the copper design. That's the standard one. There's also some artists that they have hired, some designers they've hired to do a midnight blue version with floral swirls and Swarovski crystals and an 18-karat gold accent. Or if that's not enough gold for you, another one is dipped in 18-karat gold and encrusted with diamonds. The non-bejeweled copper version starts at $1,169, available for pre-order April 25th.
Right. I'm not sure what to say about this. This is, it's a nice machine to begin with, but all of that gold and diamonds and Swarovski crystals, it's so foreign to what I look for, not just in tech, but in everything, in fashion, and I try to be a little bit more understated.
I want to jump to it and say, well, maybe that's just you, Patrick, but you are a pretty fashionable guy, I have to say.
Thank you. I'm not wearing a scarf today, but that's because But yeah, I mean, maybe there is a world where some people are actually looking for this. Maybe I guess there is. Maybe it's just for the publicity that they're getting out of it too.
I think it's both. I think there's a small amount of people that they can make a little extra money off. This is not going to make the bulk of their production run, though. And even the thin copper version is very good looking. And that's what a lot of people are talking about today. They're like, it's a powerful machine and it looks amazing. And that is the point we are. Laptops are fairly commodified these days. So a lot of times it is about the weight, the thinness, and the form factor.
Well, Twitter is adding a direct message button to its Android and iOS apps to make it simpler to share a tweet by direct message. It will appear next to the favorite heart below the timeline. Twitter says DMs grew 60% in 2015. And there was a possibility to send a tweet by direct message, but it was sort of nestled in that little
You have to
menu.
do a long press on iOS, I think. Yeah.
Do you use that? I've never used that.
That was my thing. I like having the ability to DM front and center because I do DM on Twitter from time to time. I was DMing today with Christy Cates, but I don't ever DM a tweet. And yet, now that it'll be front and center on the app, I might find myself doing it. In fact, there was a tweet today where I'm like, well, I don't want to reply with an app, but I hope Brian Brushwood sees this. And I realized as I was thinking that, like, oh yeah, I guess I could DM that as a tweet. I still didn't. I was on my laptop at the time, and it's not something I have a habit of, but apparently a lot of people do. So I think this is obviously Twitter trying to move themselves into a messaging space as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not taking anything away. It's just making it more convenient. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's my comment.
It's
okay.
Roku introduced an updated $50 streaming stick. This is the little stick. It's now smaller. Comes with a quad-core CPU, dual-band MIMO antenna, the ability to stream audio over Wi-Fi to a smartphone. It doesn't have a plug-in on the remote like the Roku 4 does, but it can do it through the app. The device does not support 4K video, just 1080p. The stick's available for purchase today. Will ship near the end of the month. Roku's also rolling out OS 7.1 today, and that'll come to all of its devices, all of its compatible devices, within the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Excellent for Roku. Messaging app Kik rolled out a bot store Tuesday. Any developer can build a bot through Kik, though Kik will approve it. I'm sorry, I'll start again. Any developer can build a bot, though Kik will approve them before they get listed in the bot shop. Sephora, how do you pronounce it in English? I know how
we say Sephora. I don't know if that's right, though, but that's what Eileen and I say whenever we go there.
So Sephora, the Weather Channel, and Vine are among the 16 bots at launch.
Yeah, so not that many, but kind of a lot of people are pointing out that Facebook has their developer conference next week, and we're expecting to see bots. Everybody's talking bots these days, right? Microsoft obviously made a big deal out of it, so we're assuming Facebook will on Messenger as well. They've got a few things in the works that we know about already. So Kik sort of coming out the week ahead and saying, hey, we got bots too, is a cool deal, especially when they have some brands on board. This is for certain the new hot thing. And I can't wait to find out if it's actually useful, which it could be. Just because it's a new hot thing doesn't mean it's all vaporware, or whether there's overpromising, which is also possible.
This is super exciting. I mean, I can't really think of another year in the past, I don't know, while. I'm not going to commit to anything, but where we've had so much exciting foundational tech being developed. There is VR that could become very important, bots that are incredibly important. The blockchain is, as we all know, gaining a lot of steam. It's everything, everywhere you turn, it seems like there is some portion of the tech industry that is incredibly excited with a new kind of technology, and that doesn't happen every year.
I was just going to move on to another example of that, but you got one more comment?
Yeah, I can see how Sephora on the Weather Channel would work, maybe selling you stuff and getting you information about weather. But Vine, I'm curious about that bot.
Can you show me the latest Vine from Scott Johnson? Why, sure, here it is. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing something there. But
yeah, or maybe I want to see something funny. That there's lots of it on Vine, but then I want to see something cute, or
just being able to insert relevant vines into your messages could be kind of cool.
Maybe.
Yeah. A company called Zipline will start delivering medical supplies to 21 hospitals and clinics in Rwanda by fixed-wing autonomous aircraft starting in July. Aircraft can make 50 to 150 deliveries a day, carrying up to 3.5 pounds. A SIM card stores the flight path, and payloads are dropped by paper parachute. Zipline plans to expand into other countries within the year.
This is so awesome.
So cool.
It is incredible. And I mean, it's already awesome as the principle of it, but the key thing here, I think, is the 50 to 150 deliveries a day. That's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many deliveries, regular, trucks that deliver medicine and stuff do, but I'm sure it's not 150.
I mean, they could carry
So,
more, obviously, but yeah, another thing about Rwanda is, according to this article on Engadget, the roads are in need of repair in a lot of locations on the way to hospitals and clinics. So again, it's an example of, a lot of places like Rwanda didn't get infrastructure rolled out for fixed line internet, but mobile internet is leapfrogging that. And here's another example of like, well, I mean, we should repair the roads, but that shouldn't stop deliveries to the clinic because we can use the unmanned fixed wing aircraft. Why not?
yeah, exactly. Nvidia announced, is it L-Ray or I-Ray?
That is an I. That is a failure of this typeface that you had to ask that.
So Nvidia announced I-Ray VR technology to create photoreal images in VR. Maybe it's images, the I from images, I-Ray? Maybe. Nvidia CEO Jen-Hsun Huang, that is terrible. Why do I not know how to pronounce those names? Called it Pixar-like quality. NVIDIA also introduced a GPU engine, GPU infer. See, I knew I was going to have a hard time with my jet lag and the Japan things.
It finally got you, Patrick.
Yeah, just at the end on the last headline I had to read. So NVIDIA also introduced a GPU inference engine to help energy efficiency in GPU computing. Yesterday, NVIDIA announced the Quadro M5500 line of video cards for laptops capable of supporting VR headsets.
And let me save you with the last bit of news. NVIDIA having their developers conference, you're going to see a lot of little announcements from them coming out. And of course, as those of you who follow NVIDIA know, they do like their supercomputers, and they've got another one, the $129,000 DGX-1. They describe it as 250 servers in a box, 7 terabytes of storage, 8 Tesla P100 GPUs, 2 Xeon processors, all pulling 170 teraflops. First 10 machines go to universities, but they're also marketing them as great for machine learning.
So yeah, that's another one we forgot. Machine learning is another super exciting piece of technology. The VR thing, it's interesting. The comments that NVIDIA was making were, we think that VR is going to be great for GPUs, and the reaction is kind of like, duh, yeah. Obviously.
Yes, you are not wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of a growth factor that the stale GPU market had been waiting for a few years now. So it's not surprising that any founder, any developer or manufacturer of video cards and video GPUs is going to be pushing this any way they can. And this line of video cards that is designed for laptops is another proof of that, because I'm not sure how many laptop developers are going to want to do that on their laptops. It seems a tiny little bit gimmicky.
Well, maybe, but desktop replacement laptops, gaming laptops are certainly a vibrant sector, right? So if you can sell an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive with a laptop that has a Quadro M5500 in it and say, hey, you can get VR with a laptop, there are going to be some people plunked down for that, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, the Quadro line is really the professional part of the NVIDIA lineup. So it wouldn't be a consumer product, most likely. Maybe someone wants to to put in a lot of money to get it, but it's really aimed at developers, the Quadro line. So
and I could see this being used in business locations where they actually want to take VR headsets out to sites and then do a site walkthrough with the laptop, right? And say like, okay, you see what it looks like right now. Now put on the VR headset. Here's what it's going to look like once we've laid it out. I don't know.
Yeah, no, actually, you're right. Maybe the laptop, the really VR capable laptop, is going to be too expensive. Maybe for a gamer, but for a business that needs to take their VR experience maybe around to a site or just in the office. They don't want a bulky PC.
Just have it be portable.
Yeah, you convinced me. Well done. Good job.
Whoa. Look at that. That's the jet lag talking. No, just kidding. Thanks to all those who submitted things we used from our subreddit. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the headlines. I could have played the old Monday Night Football theme. It apparently is royalty free these days. So just imagine it in your head, because I didn't get that together. But Twitter has struck the deal. We thought Facebook was going to get it, and then Facebook pulled out. Twitter will stream 10 Thursday night football games to a global audience. I had to read this thing 16 times before I convinced myself that I wasn't missing something. No authentication. That's in the NFL press release. It'll be a global audience in 2016 for free without authentication. They paid around $10 million, according to Bloomberg sources. And if that's right, they underbid other bidders. Verizon, Yahoo, and Amazon were all still wanting this. And according to another Bloomberg source, we're offering $15 million. It's still a bargain, though. NFL EVP of Media said it did not take the highest bidder. He did confirm that. They wanted to go with Twitter because Twitter is where live happens, and they think there's more cool things they can do to experiment on the platform. Twitter's not going to make a ton of money off this because they're just taking the CBS and NBC feeds. CBS has 5 of these games, and NBC has the other 5. CBS and NBC will still broadcast them on the air. They will still stream them to their own apps. So all the digital advertising, for the most part, will be sold by CBS and NBC. Twitter gets a small portion of that to sell themselves, so they're not going to make nothing. CBS and NBC, by the way, paid $22.5 million for their 5 Thursday games each. That's $22.5 million each. Well, wait a minute, $220.5 million for all 5. I think it was $45 million for each game. Anyway, they paid a lot more, is the point. Verizon already has the rights to stream these to wireless phones. That's not going away either. Verizon streams a bunch of NFL games to wireless phones. Twitter's video will be embeddable. They're encouraging it to be shared. They're going to include pregame Periscope streams from players and teams, and it will be available on the Xbox app. So you'll be able to put it on your regular television. There's so many things that confuse me about this deal, Patrick.
So many things to unpack in this. It is, from the NFL side, it's interesting that they're experimenting like this because definitely it is an experiment. They could have gone with a much more traditionally, associated with broadcasting provider. Twitter is a weird choice for sure, so it's an experiment and they want to see what happens. It's weird on the Twitter side. We know that they want to be, basically they're hungry for more reasons to go to Twitter. And the fact that you don't need to authenticate, that it's just, available to everyone is incredibly important in that feature. But on this, at the same time, is it really in the spirit of the social network? We know that you have Periscope, you have video, you have YouTube that you can embed in the Twitter streams, but a long form event that you watch, let's imagine how it even works in the Twitter feed, right? You see your tweets that from the people you're following, and then maybe someone retweets the stream of the game. What do? You click on it, it goes full screen, and then what? You're not using Twitter anymore? Does it get reduced to a little corner of your phone? Or I don't even know technically how it's going to work because it's so long.
Yeah, I think on the desktop they'll probably have a special section, right? They do these moments sections, right? So they can blow up something like that where there will be a video in the middle and then a sidebar of like running commentary, curated commentary, maybe that sort of thing. So I can kind of see that. They can do a similar thing on the phone. If you look at Moments, there are sometimes embedded videos. It would just have to keep that video at the top and then have a stream below it. I kind of see that. I guess you could do that on an Xbox app too. Twitter on an Xbox to begin with is already kind of weird. And I imagine that one of the ways they were able to convince the NFL to go with them was to say, we're not going for the full screen experience. That's what you go to CBS and NBC and the NFL Network, by the way, which simulcasts these. That's what you go to them for. We're here for another experience. The person who wants to watch live and also see the video at the same time. I guess the idea being that a lot of people watch the TV and then look at Twitter while they're watching it. This is for people who don't have the TV around. They can still watch the game.
So you're thinking this would be sort of an entirely different type of experience on Twitter's apps and sites. So you just like Moments, and by the way, we don't get Moments in France, so that's why I didn't really think of those different. But so it would be a different section of Twitter that you could go to, and could that mean, we're extrapolating now, but could that mean that there would be potentially other types of events that could be made into, I don't know, a kind of catalog where Twitter
Yeah.
sort of embeds an event of any nature and then has the related maybe curated tweets or maybe comments from your friends related to this thing. It is an interesting idea. I think a lot of outlets have struggled with that second screen experience idea for a long time, and a lot of different people and companies have tried to implement it properly and to make something of it. I don't think it's quite worked yet. People still just go to the second screen and do their thing at their own pace. Maybe Twitter could have a way of making it work in that very defined context of one event. That could be interesting for sure. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but it's definitely an interesting experiment. Would you go to? I don't watch the NFL. I don't have much interest in this, but maybe other type of. Would you go to watch the game?
Let's talk about other types, because Twitter CFO Anthony Noto, by the way, formerly the CFO of NFL. That is not lost on this deal. You should realize. But he's now the Twitter CFO. He told Bloomberg they want to do other sports. They want to do politics. They want to do entertainment. And the thing they sold the NFL on is something they couldn't sell their own shareholders on, which is that they have 800 million people in the audience. They're like, yeah, we only have 300 million monthly active users who log in and post, but we have loads of other people seeing Twitter posts in news articles, on search results here and there. We can reach a lot of people, and the NFL bought it. So yeah, would I use this if the Cardinals were playing? Yeah, I might. Would I watch the Oscars this way? Maybe. I don't know. And the reason I use those two things is I rarely have the chance to sit down and watch a baseball game in front of the television. I'm usually watching it on my laptop already. So watching it through Twitter would add a little bit to that experience. Whereas something like the Oscars, it's usually like get your snacks, sit down, plunk down and watch. Now, definitely have Twitter on, but I don't know that I would want to watch it on Twitter in that particular case.
So that's interesting. The 800 million number, I think, is a little bit dubious, because that's the kind of thing where, as you mentioned, they count everything, including, tweets displayed in articles as illustration embedded in articles, which, fine, you always have to have the biggest numbers, so they count everything. Okay. It's significant that their audience is more than just the logged in users. That's absolutely a factor. But I could see, in general, maybe you don't necessarily need to have the event being streamed on Twitter, or maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe they can get the ball rolling with these events being specifically streamed to Twitter, with to get people used to the idea, and then maybe you have in moments or in another section, you have a way for people to get together and discuss around, and see what's being said about a specific topic happening. I think the Oscars would be a super interesting thing. There could be lots of others, as you mentioned. Any big worldwide reaching event, politics. I know they're doing things about political debates already. I have an interesting, maybe it's too far down the rabbit hole here, but let's say they brand something around the Oscars or some copyrighted event, trademarked event. Would they have to pay something to the holder of the rights?
What you're talking about there is very similar to Moments, and I know you haven't really lived with it. But what they're doing there, I don't know that they strike deals. They just say, hey, this is happening, and here's a stream of what's going on. Adding the live video to it is what's really, really different here. And there's two ways in which I think it bears on what you're talking about. One is, instead of just saying, here's what's going on, you can't see it, but we're talking about it, to be able to say, and if you want to see it, here it is. Like, that's a big deal, and that would require deals. The NFL striking that deal is going to bring a bunch of people into Twitter, I think, that don't normally access Twitter, and Twitter's hoping to keep them around.
So why would people go to Twitter to watch it rather than, well, maybe it's worldwide. So there are some people that are
worldwide,
not going to have.
and I think the reason it's $10 million, and by the way, this gives me a chance to correct myself. CBS and NBC each are going to do 5 Thursday games. They paid $225 million for those 5 games. So they paid a lot of money. Twitter's paying $10 million for all 10. That's only $1 million per game. And I think the reason is they don't expect people to go to Twitter instead of CBS or NBC. They expect people to go to Twitter because they can't watch CBS or NBC at the time, but they can get Twitter.
Right. So, but maybe someone is going to go. But as you were saying, Verizon has the thing as well. Maybe it's just for Verizon users.
Yeah, it is. It's just
but
for
it's also,
Verizon users.
Right. It's also streamed on the NFL site, is my understanding.
No, you have to authenticate if you want to watch it on the NFL site. It's the NFL Network, which is a cable network that it is also simulcast on.
So basically, unless you want to watch it on TV, the only way you're going to be able to watch it on the web and without authenticating is going to be Twitter.
Yeah, for free. I mean, you could pay for the NFL Sunday ticket, and then there's ways to watch it online. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
It's weird. I think this says a lot about what the NFL is trying to do, and I'm wondering how much of this on Twitter's part. I just can't figure it out on Twitter's part. It's interesting that they're doing it. It doesn't quite fit still with all of our discussion. I don't quite see how it fits with Twitter's identity. And it seems
I
like
think it does. I think it does exactly, which is we are where things are discussed live. So let's show you a live thing.
Okay. Maybe.
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure I see myself. I'm not sure how these two work together in the sense that maybe it's because I don't second screen as much as other people. But I wouldn't go to see a game and then watch comments from random people, or maybe if all my friends were watching it that's at the same time. I think it's the kind of thing that I need to see happening and experience in reality to get a feeling for it. At this point, I'm not 100% sure how I would feel about it. So.
All right. Well, we want to hear from you. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. How do you feel about it? Let's get to our pick of the day. Eric says the free LastPass Authenticator app provides convenient and secure multi-factor authentication for your LastPass account. Even works on the free version of LastPass. And Eric works for Fire Oak Strategies. He's like, we did a technical analysis to validate the security model, and we think it looks great. We'll have a link to his findings in our show notes as well. But if you're looking for two-factor authentication, especially if you use LastPass, might want to check out the LastPass Authenticator. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Our messages of the day are mostly about the idea of payments with mobile devices, which Veronica and I talked about yesterday. Fatsa likes to do something called Apple Pay Bingo, where he tries to pay with Apple Pay first everywhere he goes. I'm sorry, that's not Fotza, that's John. John from Windy Billings, Montana does that just to keep himself entertained. So he's like, yeah, he's discovered all kinds of places that take Apple Pay that he might not have guessed. Fotza, from Nottingham, pointed us to a Kickstarter project for something called The Curve, spelled Kerv, which is basically an NFC ring. It works like a contactless card, but then there's a back end on the web where you can use to add funds to your account, etc. Chris writes that a food truck near him called Cilantro has moved to a cashless operation. He's like, this model would not only make contactless payments more of a habit if you go to the same food truck all the day, but it removes the need for cash and decreases the liability of the restaurant. Mohan has only had 2 failures paying with Samsung Pay. By the way, Samsung Pay can emulate a card swipe. Both oddities with the point of sale, and he says, I'm confident enough that I could get by a day with Samsung Pay, and what helps is that I can use it almost anywhere. And then finally, Allison Sheridan adds, Starbucks has the brilliant strategy. They built their own contactless payment app, but inside the app, the user can choose to use Apple Pay to reload the card. That way, Starbucks owns the relationship with the customer, but you still get the security of Apple Pay. And she points out that they use geofencing, so her Starbucks card pops up on the lock screen whenever she walks into the store.
It seems Starbucks is the only one doing it super cleverly and well. This is pretty brilliant, the way they're approaching it. We still don't have Apple Pay in France. We do, however, have contactless payment with credit cards, credit cards with NFC chips. It's limited to 20 euros, so you can't, just if you lose your card, people are not going to start paying for TVs and planes without any kind of authentication. I was absolutely certain I was not going to like it. I thought it was gimmicky and insecure and unsafe, and that it was a waste of energy. I hated the idea of NFC payments on credit cards. I love it. I use it all the time. It's the fact that you don't need to put the card in and put your PIN number. I am astonished at how much I like it. So it seems that the convenience increase with that system is it gives me a way to pay in a second and a half, and if I have to go to, let's say, 10 seconds, it becomes less convenient, right? It's the PIN system. I'm wondering if phones, Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and all of those, I'm wondering if they're fast enough now. You have to get out your phone, you have to put your fingerprint, and then put the I'm not sure how much more convenient than the contactless credit card it's going to be.
It is a little more secure because of the fingerprint. And if the merchant is working correctly, then it's fairly close to fast, because you got to pull out your credit card too, right? So if you're in the habit of pulling out your phone and you don't have to unlock it, you just use the thumbprint, then it's not bad. What I've run into is
I would like it too.
Occasionally, like I went to a grocery store the other day, and I've used it at this grocery store before with no issues, and they're like, you have to sign. And I guess there's some fraud prevention algorithm somewhere that occasionally requires you to sign or put in a PIN code or something. And I was just like, well, that's weird. You're not supposed to do that. Oh, okay, fine. But then I went and looked it up, and apparently that's not unheard of. So I don't think that happens with contactless cards. You're always just tap and go.
Yeah, but it's limited to a very small amount.
Sure.
So it's only $20, €20. But so you had to sign even though you had the
thumbprint,
fingerprint, right?
Yeah, some weird thing, and it has to do with the amount, right? If you're buying a small amount, then that never happens, according to what I read.
How much did you spend at that grocery store, Tom?
It was like $100, man. I was stocking up on groceries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. BioCow has some numbers for us on this. I work for a medium-sized credit union, BioCow writes, and thought I could possibly shed some light on Apple Pay discussion as far as what I can see. Plus, I was pulling our monthly numbers anyway. We offer both debit cards and credit cards. Our credit cards have a rewards points system. Of our members who have signed up for Apple Pay, 39% are credit cards and 61% are debit cards, but we see more transactions on credit cards. Of all Apple Pay transactions, 58% are credit cards. We believe that these users are more savvy and want to earn reward points with their credit card purchases. Of all cards, both debit and credit, we have out and in use. About 9% have been signed up with Apple Pay. Sounds pretty good, but if you look at transactions, only 0.22% of transactions that our members made used Apple Pay. I'd love to be able to break it down to see what a transaction is Apple Pay eligible and how many of those were used. We are currently in the process of rolling out Android and Samsung Pay, so I'm looking forward to seeing how those numbers compare to Apple Pay. Sorry for speaking in percentages, but I'd rather not give out actual numbers, and that's understandable.
Yeah, it's still, no matter how you put it, it's still, I don't know if the right term is surprisingly or disappointingly, but it's still small.
And finally, Varsha from Vivaldi dropped me an email to let us know that the Vivaldi Browser 1.0 launches tomorrow at 8 a.m. Varsha didn't give a time zone, but I'm assuming, knowing that I'm in Pacific time, that time is meant for Pacific. So I'm going to go with 8 a.m. Pacific. But yeah, Vivaldi Browser out of beta, the 1.0 version coming tomorrow.
Can you remind me exactly what special thing Vivaldi is for browser?
It's light and fast mostly. That's from what my use of it. It's a sleek browser that's been built from the ground up.
Excellent. So I'll go check it out. Or
I really thought you were going to say, can you remind me what day it is?
Yeah, I was going to go there now, basically saying I can go check it out now because it's already tomorrow.
It's already tomorrow in Japan. Well, thank you, Patrick Beja. FrenchSpin.com is still the URL. Whether you're in Finland or Japan, it's still French Spin, right?
Absolutely, the wonders of the internet. Not, I took a break from Pixels this week. I didn't do one because jet lag and all of that. So no English show this week. There are still the French shows on FrenchSpin.fr. If you want a French tech show or French video game show, you can find that there. Le Rendezvous Tech and Le Rendezvous Jeu. But if you want to follow what's happening for me in Japan, you can go to Twitter. I'm not Patrick there. You can go to Facebook. I'm not Patrick as well. Instagram, I'm even using that, and I'm not Patrick there too. And I'm posting lots of pictures of what's happening in Japan, which in the past couple of days since I arrived has been a lot and a lot of cherry blossoms. It's incredible how many of those there are, and they're all beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with that. Thanks to everybody who makes it possible for us to do this show. If you are already helping the show out, thank you. Thank you so much. And everyone else who isn't already helping out the show should thank you as well for making it possible. If you would like to help the show and you're not yet, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support and choose your way. You can buy one of these lovely DTNS mugs in the store. That helps us out. You can also support us through PayPal or at Patreon, patreon.com/DTNS. And of course, as I've been saying, if every single one of you just went and convinced someone else to subscribe to Daily Tech News Show, we'd double our listenership, and we'd be roaring ahead. So just tell folks about us. You can leave a review in iTunes or your favorite podcatcher, or just tell a friend like, hey, I know you're into tech. Check out dailytechnewsshow.com. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can call us 512-59-DAILY. It's 593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Yay!
You made it.
Yes, it went well.
Yeah, that was a good show.
How do you feel?
I feel awake and refreshed. That
Refreshed?
didn't make an impression. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't very fresh when I first started the show, but now I am.
All right. You fresh enough to listen to some titles?
Fred.
Let's.
Top of the heap is WhatsApp encryption. The blind shall see. The blind shall see with Facebook's help is 2. Begun. There's another Yoda quote. Begun the cross-platform wars have. 2. Roku gonna stick it to you. Next is DGX1. The 1 stands for quality.
I mean, at this point, there's only 1 and 2 votes, so we're definitely not in a reliable ranking order. Are there any of these, Roger, that catch your eye particularly?
I like the Vive is alive because it's funny, sort of. Spectre, Thunderbolt. No, it's not a James Bond movie.
Spectre, Thunderbolt. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it's funny, and this. I read this headline that said, "Who let Kim Kardashian design laptops?" And I read that as Laporte. Who let Kim Kardashian design Laporte? I don't know why. It just makes no sense. It's raining bots. It still can't run Crisis. That's an in joke. If you're like, the whole thing of no video card ever made can run Crisis at with all the settings up.
Yeah, right.
There's a doobie at 138, but that's pre-show, so I don't think it would apply to the actual show.
Right.
Let's kick it old school with bots by Big Jim. I'll vote that one up because it's
Are you ready for some Twitter?
Nvidia has the power for VR. Not Patrick bringing you today.
Twitter scored a touchdown.
Roku gonna stick it to you is trending at the top. DM me your feelings from Carl.
Maybe we should go with Twitter steps up to the live streaming plate because it's NFL,
but it's not baseball.
Exactly. It's using the right.
Okay. Are you ready for some tweet ball? Twitter gets sports ball. What if there was a sport that did involve ball? You couldn't use that. It's tweet ball.
There are.
I know.
Auto
It's called track
racing.
and field.
Track and field.
Swimming.
All right, I need a headline, you guys.
All right.
I like which one did I like? The one with Twitter kicking something. Scored the touchdown.
Yeah, Twitter scored a touchdown by Silverblade.
Yeah, I think it's relevant and
To the
kind
topic,
of
yeah.
Twitter scores a touchdown. Twitter scores a home run.
Scored.
With football.
Scored a
Scored. Sorry, scored. Got it. Fixed. Twitter scored a goal down run.
Now I can relax. Jeez, I was so afraid that something would go wrong.
Oh, with the connection? Yeah, it stayed solid through the whole show.
Yeah, that's really good.
It can go to crap now
And,
if it wants, but
Apparently it's WiMAX. I didn't even. Oh, so for.
So
Yeah.
you are on WiMAX.
Yeah. It's both of them. The portable router and the home connection are WiMAX apparently. Yeah, there's 4G plus WiMAX and just WiMAX.
what city are you in?
Kyoto.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And yeah, that was actually one of the things. So next week I'll show up if I'm awake, which I'm not sure how the jet lag is going to do, right?
Okay, yes.
And
Next week
and
we have Brian Brushwood booked as a safety net for you.
So
Right.
don't if you feel a little wobbly, don't.
I'm sure.
force it.
I'm sure once you're getting close to like Monday for you, you'll know. Like, this is how I
Yeah.
feel.
so I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then after that, I have a couple of topics I've started to gather for a sort of what my tech in Japan experience has been like.
Cool.
When we stop the live thing, I can give you a couple, so you can tell me if it's the direction you want me to go with.
That is the 19th that we're going to do that,
Yeah.
right? And we're going to
Yeah,
do
The what?
Oh, the 19th. Yeah, that's the 2 hour later one, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So heads up, folks. Yeah, we're planning on doing the show a little later on Tuesday, April 19th. So that Patrick doesn't have to get up so early.
And I'm very appreciative.
But next week we're doing it at the normal time. So you don't have to be as appreciative next week.
No, Big Jim. Unfortunately, that tech does not involve mechas yet.
Yet.
Oh, maybe you should do a little snooping about their robotics industry, like where it's at.
Cover the fact that they're all robots.
Yeah, I'm going more with the direction of like everyday stuff and just regular things that you encounter in your everyday life rather than robots taking over.
Well, I mean, let's just say, for argument's sake, your everyday life, you find out that robots are taking over. I mean, that would be a perfectly legitimate topic.
If I do.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Could happen.
Haven't been to Osaka yet. I hear, there might be robots in Osaka.
There you go.
I didn't remember any, but we went straight to the stadium because I was trying to pick up Eileen and Tom's wedding present. Where I got your Yomiuri.
Giants.
Yes.
Looking around to see if I have one of those near at hand. Oh, here. Still exporting, so be right.
So 2 hours later, so that would be 3:30 for us. So okay. Let's see. Let me see. Can we see anything? I see
What?
we can see the top of it.
Yeah, you can. Well, here, hold on.
Yay, giants! But it's like Takahashi.
I've forgotten who that was. I think it was a pitcher, maybe. He wasn't a robot. So
Takahashi, the baseball robot.
The base bot.
baseball.
Tokyo Giants. Which is funny because Taiwan's the same way. They base all their teams off the corporate sponsors.
Oh, Carl asks how the Frontier Internet is working. As you can tell, it's working fine, as it was yesterday. But this morning, speeds were back up to the level I pay for, and they have been stable most of the day. So, getting better.
Is that your internet provider, or did you change
Verizon was my internet provider until Friday, when Frontier Communications took over Verizon's FiOS network in 3 locations in the United States: California, Texas, and Florida.
Wow, that's scary. Did
Yes.
Verizon abandon FiOS?
Yeah.
Did they sell it, or?
Well, FiOS is a technology that Verizon uses, and Frontier was using FiOS already in Washington. But yeah, Verizon sold their fiber networks in those 3 areas.
They probably didn't want to deal with. It might not be like where they want to be, in terms of like a business.
I guess, yeah.
Maybe they just want to focus strictly on mobile.
And content. I mean, they own AOL now too.
They own all.
Owl.
So 2 hours later, 19th. So that would mean the show starts around 3:30, and we would do everything that we do normally.
Is that enough to make a difference for you, Patrick? We hadn't actually talked about the.
Yes, it is 2 hours. I mean, it's going to be 7 a.m. instead of 5, and that is.
Oh no, I need to know so I can relate that information to reschedule my babysitter. So it's not.
Am I making you reschedule your?
No, that's fine. That's actually
feel
very
bad.
serendipitous because I have a night class that evening, so I actually needed to extend her time. But since the show starts later, it won't have to be that long. Additionally.
All right.
So that it works out. I just make, if it works, then I'm gonna cement it in as a 2 hour later show.
Cool. It does for me, and I'm incredibly thankful for everyone to accommodate my crazy schedules.
It'll be fun.
And so we're following the same format with headlines, or are we going to go strictly as a special?
Oh no, we'll follow the normal format.
Okay.
We might just run a little longer. I don't know. Depends. That depends on what we have. But yeah, it's a normal show otherwise. Just a special topic within the normal show.
So let's start it.
We already know what the discussion topic will be that day, I guess is what I'm saying.
Robots.
Oh, your video froze. That's
Mine
weird.
did?
No, his still works.
Am I robot-y?
You're stuttery to me. Your video is working,
Hello?
but it's
You're
dropping
fine.
frames.
I hear you fine.
Move
I'm
your
not
head,
looking at your video though.
Patrick.
Okay. Yeah, there was a little bit of a hiccup there.
Yeah, it must be. I wonder if it's a shared
Resource.
node or something. It's interesting. Or if the wind blows too many cherry blossoms into the WiMAX signal, it gets degraded.
That's probably what happens, yes. Now it's back to normal.
Twitter scores a touchdown. But will it score with the fans? We'll find out this October.
We will indeed. We will indeed. Do 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 do.
Oh, TVZ Gun says that's the old GTE holdouts for Verizon service. We used to support them for DSL back in the very early aughts. So it may be something about this particular infrastructure that they Or like they bought it from GTE and now they're just coughing it back up.
It's like, it costs too much money to support.
Yeah. Well, Verizon was very bullish on running fiber, and then their board of directors said, "Why are you spending all this money running fiber? You're not making any money back fast enough." And so they put a stop to it. That's why Verizon Fios rollouts stopped.
And what of the future, Tom? What of the future?
Okie doke. Is Patrick just tired, or did you freeze again?
No, I wasn't moving. I was just being very still.
I am done.
I was looking at the. Apparently, the Surface Phone would be slated for 2017.
That's why they're downshifting on Lumia. They're just going to go Surface Phone.
Possibly, yeah.
They're probably
And
rebuilding
then,
it from the
and
ground
then the
up.
Surface Phone will stop production in 2019.
Oh, it's funny because it might be true.
Because we've seen it before. It's cyclical,
Yeah.
almost. It's like BlackBerry. It's like, how many more before they say, all right, we're moving out of hardware.
Okie doke. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We're going to get out of your hair, and we'll talk to you tomorrow in your hair. So don't wash your hair.
Bye, everyone.